Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome live here on your home of the Raiders, the WHS Network here on YouTube.com. Again, here with our 2024 IHSAA Class 2A North Semi-State Boys Basketball Preview Show here tonight. As we get down to business here, again, as always, I'm play-by-play broadcaster Brandon Morvillius. Alongside here with me is cameraman Jordan Redbeard McCoy. Just going to spend some time once again here with you all this evening just to talk about the 2A North Semi-State that's going to be held at Lafayette Jefferson High School coming up here on this coming Saturday, March the 16th of 2024. You get to this time of the year, obviously you're going to get nothing but some of the best teams in the entire state of Indiana. And Wapahani was able to take out one of those this past weekend there in the Tipton Blue Devils and won that one by a final score of 65-41. A very exciting game. It was a very tight, close first half. Wapahani had a first half lead of 18-17, and I'll tell you what, they got after it in that second half, start to finish. Offensively, defensively, was able to put up almost nearly 50 points there in that second half. The defense once again was spectacular, and I know that we had mentioned that in our preview show and all the broadcasts that we do throughout the entire season, but I tell you, defense is what wins championships. But also, you have to have a darn good offense, too, and that's exactly what Wapahani was able to showcase. Every facet of the game, offensively, defensively, free throws. We really didn't – I don't even know if we even shot any free throws. We might have right there towards the end. I can't really remember. I've had a lot going on with getting stats and everything else, and thank you to, again, our student statistician, Alexia Dobbs, for helping out and getting these stats here as well. But there's, a lot going on that day, and it was nice to see us come out, perform the way we did, and have the second half of what we thought was one of the best halves of basketball that we played all year. And that's saying a lot, considering, what we was able to accomplish throughout the regular season. So you've got to play your best at the most clutch times throughout the course of a ball game and throughout a good portion now of the state tournament. We're 4 games in, essentially 3 games to go if you count the state championship. 2 very big games potentially coming up there on Saturday afternoon. One we definitely know of, and that's going to be Wapahani and North Judson, and we're going to be taking a look at these teams here today. But first and foremost, we're going to take a look here at the bracket. So it looks like this here for all 4 teams. The North Judson San Pierre Blue Jays will take on your Wapahani Raiders coming up there on Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Again, they're from Lafayette Jefferson High School. I believe it's Marion Crawley Center, I believe is the name of the gymnasium. But then the second game will be featuring the Wabash Apaches taking on the Fort Wayne Blackhawk Christian Braves. Again, that will be a 12 p.m. start time or thereabouts, obviously depending upon how long the first game between North Judson and Wapahani takes. Then the 2A North Semi-State Championship game will be later on Saturday night at 8 p.m. Again, all North Semi-State 2A action coming up there from Lafayette Jefferson High School. So again, that is the bracket and the layout of what it will look like for Saturday. Obviously a very big day. A little bit of a long drive as well. I know you're going to be riding with the boys up there on Friday night. Me and my beautiful wife, we're traveling up there Saturday morning. It's going to be an early day. Heck, we'll probably have to leave out of here by probably right around 6:30ish is when I'm wanting to leave and get up there. It takes about, like I said, about 2 hours and get locked in for hopefully a lengthy day at Lafayette Jeff. But first and foremost, we're going to take a look here at the first game. Again, your Wapahani Raiders taking on the North Judson San Pierre Blue Jays. Wapahani, again, we're not going to break down their player stats, but team stat-wise, just to kind of give you a little bit of an outlook and what we have done so far. Wapahani, they've averaged 64.8 points a game. They allow 40.5 points on defense. Rebounds, 26.3. They average 14.3 assists per game, 7.7 steals, and 5.8 turnovers per ball game. Shooting aspect here, Wapahoney's got it done here, 616 of 1,258. That is good for 49% there from the field. From beyond the three-point line, 257 of 631, good for 41%. And then there from the charity stripe, better known as the free throw line, the Raiders are 195 of 265, good for 74%. Again, you know what these guys are capable of. I think, when you looked at what Wapahoney did there against Tipton, I mean, it all starts with Camden Bell. The first half that he had really kept the team in position to have the lead there in the first half. Without him, we struggled on offense. We weren't hitting shots, but in the second half, it was a culmination of everybody together, which is exactly the exact recipe and true definition of what this team is. It truly is a team and a family, and they go out there, play the game the right way. They play the game together, and that's what makes them so much fun to watch, along with, obviously, the highly talented group of guys here that we have on the floor. But great young men, and we're expecting a great ball game coming up there on Saturday morning there with North Judson. Now, speaking of which, the Blue Jays, not a lot of stats here on them, unfortunately. They do average 49.7 points per game on offense. Defensive side of the basketball, 43.6. So the 16-9 North Judson San Pierre Blue Jays, they don't necessarily score a lot, but they don't allow much either. I mean, you're only they're averaging basically 3 points less or 3 point more points per game than what Wapahoney does on the defensive side. So to only allow 43.6 points per game on average, that says a lot about them defensively. Now, again, their offense, it just kind of varies from game to game. Sometimes, they can get right up there in the 60-point range. Other games, like they had in the Gary 21st Century game that they defeated in the Regional 18 championship game, it was a 49-43 battle. Basically what they average and what they allow is what happened in that regional championship game last Saturday there for North Judson. So, these guys are tight-knit and hard-nosed style of defense. They really stick together, and that's why they've been able to have the success that they've had. So, since we weren't able to capture any stats, I went through and watched some video on them, scouted essentially North Judson. I watched, it was right about 4 or 5 games that they had played when they played Gary 21st Century, when they played Hebron, LaVille, and there was one other game too that they had played right there in the middle, the latter part of the regular season that I wanted to make sure to take a good look at here because, sometimes what teams do in the early stages of the year doesn't reflect what they're doing towards the end of the season. So you want to look to see what they're doing right now and right there towards the end of the regular season to get more of a grasp on what they do. So some key players here want to take a look at here. It's number 14. He's a 6'2" guard, Quinn Bales. He's basically their main guy, main scorer, handles the ball really well, can finish at the rim, but can shoot it from downtown as well. He's their best three-point shooter on the team, at least from the 4 games that I had watched. Quinn Bales definitely quite the threat offensively there for the North Judson Blue Jays. He looks to draw contact with his defenders. In some ways kind of plays a little bit like Isaac, as far as with being able to draw contact, get to the free throw line. Obviously doesn't shoot like him, but he can heat up pretty quick. And so he's a young man that that Wapahoney has got to stay on and really not allow him any breathing room because he's another one that can extend that range a good 5 to 6, even 7 feet outside the three-point line and hit it with ease. So, again, that is number 14, Quinn Bales. Next up here we have a 6'2" forward, number 11, Lucas Burkett. Probably their second best shooter on the team. Very aggressive. Tends to work that mid-range area. Not a big-time three-point shooter, but can shoot them there from time to time. But again, make sure to watch that inside area. And like like I said, he likes to work the mid-range portion of the baseline, left side, right side. It doesn't really necessarily make a difference. Get some good elbow looks there as well in a few games. Not like I said, not really a primary three-point threat, but can score the basket at the rim and extend that out to some of these mid-range jumpers. So again, make sure we've got to make sure and have a swivel of the head right there to keep him in check, to make sure we know where he's at all times. Next here we have a 6-foot guard, number 22, Connor Benson, a young man that can be very physical. Looks to attack the rim, and when he sees the opportunity, can draw fouls as well. Not another guy that shoots a lot of threes. Like I said, the biggest three-point shooter, like I said already, was Quinn Bales. These guys don't take necessarily a lot of threes, but if they're wide open, they will. So the key is don't leave them wide open, make them attack the basket, and then hopefully we can minimize the damage right there with turnovers, deflections, just being able to frustrate them offensively. But Connor Benson, a very physical 6-foot guard there for the Blue Jays. Next we have is number 20, Blaine Wilcox. He's not really all that tall. He's right around 6 foot, 5'10" to 6 foot area. Not very tall, but he is built. He's very physical. Kind of does a lot of like the dirty work, kind of like a Mason Barton type of style, just from the standpoint of setting a lot of the screens, rolling to the basket. I noticed in a lot of these games where a lot of the pick and roll action that he goes off of is at the top of the key. He does some stuff on the wings, but a lot of top of key stuff. Set the screens and then splits the middle, runs straight to the basket. So key is, I think, from defensive standpoint, I would maybe look to switch those as far as defensively wise, not kind of staying with the man right there, but just kind of splitting apart to where you can read that screen and be able to bounce off of that. Just switch the screen right there and make sure that he doesn't allow an open path to the basket. Again, he likes to go more right down the middle of the floor, or right down the middle of the paint area. So again, Blaine Wilcox, a young man that he's not very tall, not known as a three-point shooter, lives primarily in the paint, and like I said, does a lot of the dirty work, getting after loose basketballs, rebounds the ball fairly well, I think, as well, at least from the 4 or 5 games that I watched. So it's going to be important for the Raiders to keep him off the boards, and like I said, to switch the screens there on those pick and roll action there with him, and whether it be Quinn Bales or number 11, Lucas Burkett. That's usually primarily that he's working around with there. Next here we have number 2, Josiah McDaniel, another 6-foot guard. He's a really good role player here for the Blue Jays. Can attack and finish at the rim, handles the ball really well. This isn't a team that turns it over a lot, at least from the games that I had seen. Yes, from time to time they can be a little careless. I've seen some plays, especially they're not Gary 21st Century game. Some of their passes were, over the head. We're talking 4 to 5 feet above the head into the crowd kind of passes. So again, if Wapahani can just apply the pressure like what we're capable of doing, I really believe that we can really put the hammer down on them offensively. Again, they average 49.3 points a game. We can hold them to that, if not even less, if we play our cards right. Bring the pressure defensively, making sure we're getting turnovers, limiting them to 1 shot or less. We've got to rebound, no second chance opportunities. And then, hopefully, again, when we're able to get those rebounds, we're able to push the ball up floor quickly and get some open layups underneath there as well. But turnovers, deflections, just creating a disruption for them offensively to where the Blue Jays can't get in a flow of their offense, and they're not able to find that rhythm and that consistency and the confidence when they're on their end of the floor. So now another couple of key points here from North Judson, and then we'll wrap it up and send it over here to Redbeard. They do like to run back cuts. I notice a lot of that on their wings. They like to run a lot of back cut action, And so, again, Wapahani, we've got to have our head on a swivel. Again, make sure to switch those screens, step in front of those passes or potential passes to cut those back cut to the baskets off. Because that is one thing that they do like to do. Not a lot, but they do run it at different times throughout the course of the game. So we've got to make sure that we're aware of that. And not only that, but like I said, on the defensive side there for the Blue Jays, primarily a man-to-man type of defense. I really didn't see much zone play from them. They really didn't run much of a press or a trap. They're from a full court standpoint, so they're basically man-to-man defense, but they fill in the gaps really well. So they do a really good job being a help side defense. The old cliche terms of help the helper. I think they do a really solid job of that. And like I said, they just play a very hard-nosed style of defense. They'll get up in your grill a little bit. They'll give you a minimal amount of breathing room. But again, if you're Wapahani, just we've got to look to attack the rim, attack every single time down, and wear them out. In all honesty, I think that this is a team that you could very easily wear out, and put them in a position to where they're playing catch up the entire game, and also they're just gassed out there on the floor. Just from running around the hole, a lot of the time. This isn't a team that gets up and down the floor a lot as far as at a high pace. So Wapahani, we can play at any pace that any team wants. We can play a high pace game, offensively, defensively. We can get up and down the floor well, or we can kind of slow it up a little bit and being able to have success doing that as well. It doesn't make a difference. These guys are out here ready to play. They don't care what kind of game we play as long as we play it and we play it effectively and we win ball games. And that's what we've seen here from Wapahani. Like I said, these guys, they're definitely not a bad team. Obviously, they've gotten to where they are because they've done a very solid job, especially here in the state tournament. They just beat a very good Gary 21st Century team. So 16-9 record. I understand they don't average, they don't even average necessarily 50 points a game. 49.7. They allow 43.6. But this can be a very dangerous team. So do not overlook them whatsoever. You get to this time of the year, you can't overlook anybody. The way I see it, you've got to have a great game or a great day in general on Saturday. That's all it takes. All it takes is one great day to move on. It doesn't make a difference what your record is. You're here, so that means you must be doing something right. So you've got to play great that day to be able to have success and to move on, no matter what team it is. So it's going to be interesting. Hopefully that kind of helped you guys a little bit there. I know that was a long-winded conversation there on behalf of myself, but gets you guys some updated information right there, especially considering we didn't have any stats. But a little bit of a scouting report on all those guys again. Number 14, Quinn Bales. Number 11, Lucas Burkett. Number 22, Connor Benson. Number 20, Blaine Wilcox. And number 2, Josiah McDaniel. All of those young men in the starting lineup and key players to watch for there for the North Judson San Pierre Blue Jays. Now I'm going to send things here to the bearded one, Jordan Redbeard McCoy, to break down the second game of the day. That will be featuring the Wabash Apaches and the Fort Wayne Blackhawk Christian Braves. So go ahead and take it away.
All right, thanks, Marv. Yeah, we'll start with the Fort Wayne Blackhawk Christian Braves. Their record is 21-6 so far, coming in the semi-state. As a team, they're averaging 64.6 points a game while giving up 55.7. They get 32 rebounds per game, 16.8 assists per game. They steal it 4.7 times a game, and they only turn the ball over 2.2 times a game. So they take pretty good care of the ball.
Yes.
From the field, they're 48%. They're 605 of 1267. From downtown, they're 209 of 573, good for 36%. And from the free throw line, they're 207 of 302, good for 69%. Now some players to watch for. First, we have Kellen Pickett, averaging 20.4 points per game, 12 rebounds per game, so he's averaging a double-double, and 4.6 assists per game. From the field, he's 209 of 389, good for 54%. From downtown, he's 23 of 78, good for 29%. And from the free throw line, he's 95 of 141, good for 67%. Next, we have Isaac Smith, 15.9 points per game, 3.2 rebounds per game, From the field, he's 148 of 320, good for 46%. From downtown, he's 104 of 248, good for 42%. From the free throw line, he's 30 of 35, good for 86%. Next, we have Aiden Muldoon, 11.2 points per game, 5.5 rebounds a game, and 5.2 assists per game. From the field, he's 71 of 163, good for 44%. From downtown, he's 29 of 73, good for 40%. And from the free throw line, he's 24 of 34, good for 71%. Next, we have Bryce Sefton, 8.1 points per game, 3 rebounds a game, and 4.1 assists per game. From the field, he's 59 of 133, good for 44%. From downtown, he's 27 of 82, good for 33%. And from the free throw line, he's 17 of 23, good for 74%. Next, we have Luke Mansfield, 4.5 points per game and 2.5 rebounds per game. From the field, he's 36 of 77, good for 47%. From downtown, he's 6 of 23, good for 26%. And from the free throw line, he's 15 of 25, good for 60%. Next, we have Will Guthrie, 3.8 points per game, 3 rebounds per game. From the field, he's 35 of 65, good for 54%. And from the free throw line, he's 12 of 19, good for 63%. And finally, we have Jackson Hauser, 3.6 points per game on 3.1 rebounds per game. From the field, he's 27 of 64, good for 42%. From downtown, he's 11 of 35, good for 31%. And from the free throw line, he's 11 of 15, good for 73%. Next, we have the Wabash Apaches. Their record is 21-5 coming into the semi-state. They score 54.8 points per game while giving up 45.4 points per game. They get 23.4 rebounds a game. They assist it 13.3 times per game. They steal it 5.2 times per game and turn it over 8.6 times per game. From the field, they're 490 of 1103, good for 44%. From downtown, they're 247 of 615, good for 40%. And from the free throw line, they're 198 of 249, good for 80%. A few players to watch for. First, we have Isaac Wright, 15.5 points per game, 5.1 rebounds per game, and 2 assists per game. From the field, he's 128 of 283, good for 45%. From downtown, he's 63 of 135, good for 47%. And from the free throw line, he's 84 of 93, good for 90%. Next, we have Trevor Daughtry, 14.1 points per game, 2.8 rebounds per game, and 3.4 assists per game, and 2.1 steals per game. From the field, he's 118 of 259, good for 46%. From downtown, he's 52 of 122, good for 43%. And from the free throw line, he's 50 of 67, good for 75%. Next, we have Grant Ford, 13.2 points per game and 3.7 rebounds per game. From the field, he's 119 of 267, good for 45%. From downtown, he's 79 of 191, good for 41%. And from the free throw line, he's 25 of 29, good for 86%. And finally, we have Alex Dinkins, 5.2 points per game and 4 rebounds per game. From the field, he's 51 of 105, good for 49%. From downtown, he's 22 of 54, good for 41%. And from the free throw line, he's 10 of 19, good for 53%.
All righty. So thank you, Redbeard. Again, that is breaking down Fort Wayne Blackhawk Christian Braves. Again, 21-6 record on the season, taking on the Wabash Apaches, 21-5 record. Both teams very, very respectable in what they're able to do. I know I watched some games with Fort Wayne, as far as on Fort Wayne Blackhawk Christian. Very tall group, no doubt about that. Like Redbeard had mentioned, Kellen Pickett, he is number 4. He is a 6'9" forward. That's a good bulk of the reason why the young man averages a double-double every ball game, rebounds it well, shoots the ball very well. Free throw line a little iffy. He can knock down the occasional three from time to time, but again, he primarily stays more towards the inside, which is where I would want a 6'9" big man. And it's just been a lot of fun to watch those guys, be able to have the success they have, because it's going to be even more fun, hopefully, if Wapahani can get to that point, takes on a Fort Wayne Blackhawk team that's stacked with tall guys, very talented guys, or a Wabash team that does have some height, but just a great group of athletic ability, very team-oriented, and well-balanced, too. You have 3 guys that are in double figures there for Wabash. Same thing here for Fort Wayne Blackhawk Christian. These teams They defend the ball very well, but they also can rack up a good amount of points. And both teams are very separate and very different in the style that they play. Obviously, Fort Wayne Blackhawk Christian, very tall. They attack the rim very well, but they can also shoot it from outside. They're 36% from beyond the 3-point line. That's definitely not bad. So they have a consistency and a balance offensively that they're able to provide. Defensively, they throw some zone and some man-to-man at you. Does Fort Wayne Blackhawk Christian? They can even do a little trap. Depending upon where you're at in the course of a ball game that I had seen in some video that I'd watched from them, but primarily a zone or man-to-man type of style of defense. For Wabash, kind of the same thing. They do tend to be able to get some steals. They only get 5.2 steals a game, but they do have some success there on the defensive end, especially when you're only averaging 45.4 points per game defensively being allowed. So these two teams, like I said, they're very different in some ways, just from a height advantage standpoint, but both teams very athletic and can score the basketball very, very well. Obviously, Wabash very good from the free throw line. They're 80%. So going to be very key. It's going to be, like I said, it's going to be fun to watch. Those two teams go toe to toe. They're coming up on Saturday afternoon at 12 p.m. They're in the second game of the 2A North semi-state. Lastly, here to wrap up our preview show here this evening. Again, just like I had talked about earlier, from Wapani's standpoint, it's the same thing every single ball game as far as what we have to do in order to be successful. Our defensive pressure and what we have done has been so much fun to watch. And we've said it time and time and again, when you are able to bring that pressure defensively and force really good teams to a low total of points, that says a lot about what you're doing defensively, and that guys are buying in. They know what their role is, what job it is that they have to do to go out there and perform at a high level and to be able to get victories. Wapahani has got to bring that pressure, that A game again on Saturday, not just in one game, but both games, the whole entire day. Because at the end of this, yes, you only have to be, you have to keep your eyes just on North Judson. But I think you also have to be aware of what Fort Wayne Blackhawk does, what Wabash does. Because if we do win that first game, we've got a battle on our hands in that championship game. But we've got to get there first. So, you've got to make sure that all your I's are dotted and all your T's are crossed. Get after it defensively. Like I said, create turnovers, get deflections, just be disruptive to their offense of North Judson all game long, to where they're not able to get into that rhythm and flow on offense. Rebounding so important. We've got to finish possessions. We've got to rebound the basketball. No second chance opportunities for our opponent. But we'd love to have some second chance opportunities for us on offense. Rebound, put it right back in. We've seen that time and time and again. We've got to do that once again on Saturday. And then lastly here, offensive prowess. I talked about that in our regional preview show and our whole entire broadcast there on Saturday. What we're able to do when we're clicking on all cylinders is something very, very special. The way that we attack the rim and being able to finish at the rim, our outside shooting, and how everybody is looking to make each other better. The unselfishness that this team has, really essentially on both ends of the floor, but especially on offense, the way they share the basketball. You got to continue to make smart decisions, make the right pass, take the right shot, make sure we're taking good care of the basketball, and just playing the game that we're capable of playing every single time out there that we have continued to see throughout the course of this season. And then free throws, again, first quarter, fourth quarter, everything in between. I don't care what time of the game it is. We have got to take advantage of free opportunities. We shot the ball, I think, very well there from the free throw line, at least in the minimal amount that we had in sectionals and regionals as well. But we've got to continue to hit our free throws, especially in important games like this now, where every point, every possession is so crucial and important. We've got to take full advantage when given those opportunities. And we've got to maintain our identity as a collective unit and as a team. Like I said, the unselfish nature, the family atmosphere that this team has built around, the strong foundation that this team has, we've got to continue that. Don't let the other team dictate to us what's going to happen and change what we do. We go out there and we're the ones doing the dictating as far as how this game's going to go and take it to our opponent like never before. That's the winning recipe for success here for Wapahani on Saturday, and we're looking forward to bringing all of that action coming up there on Saturday morning. Again, you can catch us on the IHSAA channel that we have. That is IHSAA.org/Wapahani Raiders / again. You'll see it here on the bottom of the screen. You've probably already seen it a couple dozen times already, it seems like. But that's where you can watch us. Now, with that being said, we're only having an audio-only broadcast. The IHSAA is broadcasting that game, and they have the video streaming rights for semi-state and state championship. So we are not allowed to broadcast the game from a video streaming standpoint. Now, like I said, we can still have an audio broadcast. So essentially, it'll be like listening to us on the radio, but it'll be on our IHSAA TV channel. That's the only place that you can find it as far as with us being connected to it. There's no fee to watch. Everything is free to watch our broadcast, or I guess essentially listen to it. We're going to have the scoreboard on there, all the graphics like we normally do. So everything's going to be the same except there won't be any video. So if you guys want to watch the video stream of the ball game on Saturday or ball games on Saturday, you can go to IHSAATV.org. You can purchase the game for $12, or you can make a purchase of $20 and get every game in the whole entire state of Indiana for free. Which personally, if it was me, yes, I want you guys to watch this. More importantly, I want you guys to be there at Lafayette Jefferson High School. But if you guys can't make it, obviously we would love to have you guys listen to us. But ideally, I would pay the $20 and just watch every single game. That's a great bang for your buck if you want to do that. But like I said, we're going to be there broadcasting the game, or at least I will be. Redbeard will be just sitting there pretty, watching the ball game, hooping and hollering and raising a ruckus. But we're looking forward to a great day for Wapahani Raider boys basketball coming up on Saturday. Again, at 10 a.m. start time, your Wapahani Raiders taking on the North Judson St. Pierre Blue Jays. 10 a.m. start time, followed by the Wabash Apaches and the Fort Wayne Blackhawk Christian Braves at 12 p.m. Then with the 2A North Semi-State Championship game being played at 8 p.m. So again, we want to thank you guys for tuning in here this evening for our 2024 IHSAA Class 2A North Semi-State Boys Basketball Preview Show. Again, make sure to tune in Saturday. Please come on out and support the Raiders. It's going to be a sea of black this time. We're wearing our black shirts, and we're geared up for what will hopefully be a very long day there in Lafayette Jefferson High School, and a championship winning day for your Wapahani Raiders as well. Until next time, I'm Brandon Morvillius alongside cameraman Jordan Redbeard McCoy. Have a great day, and we'll see you back here on the WHS Network next time. Again, have a great day, everyone.